Live, this is Good Morning Texas.
Well, hey, y'all. Good morning, Texas. I'm Paige McCoy Smith, and we have got a packed show for you this morning, so I hope you're ready. We're going to be getting a preview of Heritage Auction's highly anticipated Summer Platinum Night Sports Auction. I know, that sounds cool, right? It is. And it's going to feature some of the rarest and most valuable vintage soccer collectibles and modern cards. Plus, we're going to be sharing tips on how to protect your mental health this summer and so much more. But I got to tell you, Greg, you're not going to believe this. We're going to be talking about a soccer ball, okay, that could reach up to $10 million in the auction. What do you think? You gonna bid?
I'm looking at the soccer ball now that you said might be worth $10 million, and the question is why? Is that a $10
we're
million
gonna find out,
ball?
sweet friend. That's what we're gonna do, is find out.
All right.
And we're also gonna find out about the weather.
Yes, we are. It's going to be hot and humid here over the next few days here across North Texas, so get set to sweat just a little bit. Caught a little bit of a break yesterday. No rain, no thunderstorms to slow you down today. Some low clouds have rolled into the area, though, as we take you out to the UNT campus. Temperatures starting to warm up as well. We're back up to 77 degrees there. Winds are going to stay very light out there. The low clouds will mix out a little bit as we head toward midday, heading on into the afternoon hours for today. But it's going to be kind of steamy out there for us here over the next few days for sure. Now we're looking at those upper 70s taking you out to UNT. DBU on the other end of the Metroplex there. Partly to mostly cloudy right now, 78 with those light variable winds there as well. So we're getting back into the upper 70s now, heading out to McKinney. You're still at 74, 75 heading out to Gainesville and Sherman. So we were down in the upper 60s along the Red River a little bit earlier, but everyone going to start to heat up a little bit more as we go through the day. I think the only issue that we could have will be the air quality that could become potentially unhealthy a little bit later today. So if you are sensitive to those ozone levels, we do have that air quality alert in effect for today. Outside of that, we'll have some partly sunny skies. Temperatures right around 90 today, so not going to be too bad temperature-wise, but once we factor in that humidity, it's going to feel like it's in the mid-90s for today. And as we look at the temperature trend over the next few days, the heat, humidity going to be with us. We'll be up around 94 tomorrow, as hot as 96 as we get into Thursday. And look at that heat index, 105, maybe even 105 plus with that heat index. A little bit of a dip on Friday, but as we get on into Father's Day weekend, those temperatures, they do start to heat right back up, so it is going to be pretty oppressive for us. We also have at least a slight chance for a few showers and thunderstorms. We'll talk more about that a little bit later in the show. But now, Paige, back to you.
Okay, Greg, let's go! I know that was too much. It's just too much this early in the morning. Okay, but from a $10 million soccer ball to a signed Luka rookie card, the sports memorabilia auction block is hot this summer. Chris Naird of Dallas-based Heritage Auction is here to tell us all about their Summer Platinum Night Sports Auction. Ooh, that's a mouthful. How are you this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay, so that's it, right?
That's it.
That's the soccer ball.
That's the most famous soccer ball in the world.
All right, before we get to that, let's talk about this summer, the Heritage Summer Platinum North. Y'all are making me say a lot of words in one sentence.
Going
Let's
to
try
say
it
it for
again.
you?
All right, Heritage Summer Platinum Night Sports Auction. It is such a big event. Tell me why it's so highly anticipated.
It's always the best sports auction of the year. It's held for the most elite of elite items. Our featured lots are at least $10,000 in value. There's about 150 of those.
Wow. Well, you know what? Let's get right to it, because you got this soccer ball. I got to tell you, I've got about 10 of these that look just like that in my garage right now. Why is this soccer ball so important?
So that is the soccer ball that Diego Maradona of Argentina used in the quarterfinals of the 1986 World Cup.
I heard that was a controversial moment.
The hand of God.
The hand of God. Tell me about that.
It was actually the hand of Maradona, because he used his fist to score the first goal, which is against the rules. But back then they didn't have replay, and they let the goal stand. So it's very controversial. But what's really special about this ball, it was used for both of Argentina's goals, both scored by Maradona. And the second goal is known as the goal of the century, which was a lot more skilled, non-controversial goal. So very, very significant piece. We're very excited to have it.
And of course, this is right during the World Cup. This is a big deal. And you think it can reach up to 10 mil, right?
Well, the jersey that he wore sold for, I believe, $9.2 million years ago. So to me, I think the ball is even cooler than the jersey, because that's the one that went in the net.
Yes,
You know,
that's the one that made history.
Exactly.
All right,
Very cool
speaking
piece.
of making history, as we talked about before, I'm an avid Antiques Roadshow watcher.
Okay.
So I want to talk about this baseball card. I've seen it before. This is Honus Wagner. Very special card. Tell me more about it.
That's the Mona Lisa of baseball cards.
Better than Babe Ruth?
It's the Mona Lisa. I mean, look at it. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
So that's the T206 1909 Honus Wagner. And what makes this one really special, it has a Piedmont cigarette back on it. And there's only a handful that had the Piedmont. The rest had the sweet Caparel backs.
Mm-hmm.
There's about 50 Wagners. I'm just going to hold
Well, careful with that, big guy. I'm telling you.
We'll just set it right here.
Okay.
So it's a
Do you
very...
mind? Can I touch it?
Absolutely.
I'm going to hold it up so that
it's
the camera can get a
very
good shot of it.
rare
There we go.
variation of the T206 Wagner, and all of them are worth a lot of money. This one we have estimated at $4 million plus.
All right, so $4 million plus, that's what I'm holding right now in my hot little hand here. Okay, pretty impressive. All right, let's move on to this. Now, I know this guy, Mr. Michael Jordan.
There's a couple guys on there. There's Isaiah Thomas and Michael Jordan. It's a pretty cool piece. It's a dual logo man card, and the modern card guys go nuts over these. This one's estimated at $1 million, and it's kind of cool because they were such a big rivalry. You rarely see them on the same card. And those little logo men patches are from game-worn jerseys that they each wore.
How much do you think this one's going to
$1 million plus.
$1 million plus.
Yep.
That is amazing that people are willing to spend that much money to include in their collection. What do you think it is about sports that people get so riled up about?
Oh, I mean, you know, people need entertainment these days, and it's kind of their escape from reality and the hard part of life, and they just love to enjoy it.
All right, well, let's move on to Hulk Hogan. It is really hard to imagine a world without the great Hulk Hogan, but this piece is pretty significant for wrestling fans.
That's his heavyweight belt.
Wow.
That's it, from the mid-'80s. It was at WrestleMania 2. It's photo matched to WrestleMania 2. It's one of the only Hulk Hogan belts in existence, and I believe it's the only one ever offered at auction. And that one's estimated at $500,000. I think that's a very conservative estimate. So we just sold Hulk Hogan's WrestleMania 1 boots for over $1 million.
Wow.
So I wouldn't be surprised if it approaches that number as well.
That is incredible. Okay, now let's talk a little Luca. Tell
Let's
me
do it.
about this.
That's Luca's 2018 White Sparkle Panini one-of-one card. It's estimated at $250,000.
It's unbelievable.
And like I said, the modern card guys, they just love this stuff, and it just keeps going up and up and up.
And I got to tell you, Heritage Auctions, we're so proud to have you in our backyard. What you guys do and the memorabilia that you preserve, your offices are incredible. I've had the privilege of seeing those before. Thank you for letting us have a little peek
Absolutely.
at these fantastic memorabilia auctions.
Thanks for having
Okay,
us.
so where can people go and learn more and get involved in the auction?
HA.com, real easy. Heritage Auctions, HA.com.
HA.com, that sounds great. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Teaching kids about money is important, but teaching them how to build wealth can set them up for success long after they leave home. So this morning, I'm joined by Eric Hamilton, founder of Hamilton Sales Academy, to give us a few pointers on how to help empower our kids and ourselves when it comes to wealth. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
What a
Happy to be here.
fantastic topic. You know, this is something that's not typically taught in schools. The onus is on the parents, but many of us don't even know where to begin. So when should parents really start talking to their kids about wealth?
You know, that's a really good question, and my thought process is you start earlier than when you think you should. So I recommend starting at 7 and 8 years old. And the important thing about it is not to talk about necessarily investing, it's really to begin to teach these financial skills. And that's ultimately what we're trying to do, is raise children and raise adults, or get to adults that are able to make good financial decisions.
You know, that surprises me, but it makes sense. 7 to 8 years old, that is the beginning. That's the beginning of it, and have the ability at this point to at least understand you and understand basic concepts of money. So what are some of the more common mistakes that parents make when it comes to talking to their kids about money?
It's a good question. I think a lot of times we avoid the conversation. And that's the biggest thing, is that we just assume it's going to be taught at school, or assume they're going to pick it up somewhere. These are principles that we want to have discussions at home. I think the one thing we don't want to do is avoid having these financial conversations. Just like anything else, the more you talk about it, the more comfortable people get. That's what you want.
I think that's a great point. I was raised in a family where you did not talk about money, no sir, under any circumstances.
Absolutely.
But as a result, you really are kind of left at a liability.
Yes.
So There's also the whole notion of needs versus wants.
Good question.
That can be a really kind of
Yes.
delicate differentiation
Yes.
there. So how do you help children differentiate between those two concepts?
Good question. And I think you want to keep it simple. When they ask you for something else, so parents at home, when they ask you about something, they want a new something, a toy or whatever it may be, ask the question, is this a need or is this something that you want? That basic question right there will begin to teach them decision-making concepts, and that's ultimately what we want, is to think about the decisions that you're going to make and understand, is this really something I need or it's something that I want?
And I think also kind of recognizing that there may not be shame associated with the want.
Absolutely.
You may want something, and that's
Yes.
okay to
Yes.
want something.
Yes.
But understanding when it comes to prioritizing,
Yes.
the needs are going to always outweigh the wants.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's also talk about the difference between rich and being wealthy. You say that there's a distinction. What is that?
There is. When you think about being rich, that's associated with an income. When you think about wealthy, that's associated with freedom. Big difference between the two. You got rich and you got wealth. So the concept behind it is you can make a lot of money and live paycheck to paycheck. I've got a great income, I live paycheck to paycheck. That's rich. From a wealth standpoint, wealth opens up options and flexibilities for you. A little bit different, making your money work for you as opposed to you working for the money.
Okay, so let's talk about this. So we know what we know, and
Yes.
we don't know what we don't know. And some of us are not as informed or educated when it comes to money. So how can you become more self-informed
Yes.
so that then you can pass that on to your children?
You know, we live in a day and age now that we have access to just about anything we want on the World Wide Web. There are tremendous amounts of YouTube videos and other things that are out there, resources to help us become more educated. And similar to what I did with my son, my youngest son, is as I learned something, I talked to him about it. I wasn't an expert, we're just talking about it. And eventually I learned more, he learned more. Now we've got custodial accounts and other things that we'll probably get into, but it starts with being intentional about learning financial literacy.
Well, speaking of that then, okay, understanding that there is a wealth of knowledge on the web and that there, certainly you can become self-informed, but what about a financial counselor
Yes.
or just somebody kind of an investor? Is that something that you recommend aligning yourself with a financial advisor?
I do. I think there's two concepts behind it. I think there's one that can help you reduce your debt or get out of debt. A lot of people have a lot of credit card debts. I think there's certain advisors that concentrate on that. Tony Robbins has a really good course behind that, but a lot of courses that you can do behind that. The second one is when you actually get a wealth advisor, they can help you manage your money to grow your money. So you've got one where I have to reduce my debt so that I can start investing the right way. And then you've got a second financial advisor that can help you grow it.
And also you have a partner in that. These
Yes,
are important
yes.
topics. This is something that you
Absolutely.
need to know.
Yes.
And also when it comes to passing on the information,
Yes.
there's something to say about passing on the wealth, setting up accounts, college accounts.
Yes.
Tell me about the importance of that and involving your kids in that process.
Yeah, I think as we learn these things, we talk to our kids about it. So you mentioned some ways that we could potentially do some accounts. There's custodial accounts. That's the easiest way to begin to help your child learn about growing money, growing wealth, and talking about wealth. So there's things.
So people who don't know what a custodial account is, how would you
Yes,
define it?
I'm sorry. So it's an account that a young person, you can open up for them as early as, I think it's 13, and they can't touch that money until they get 18. So you are driving it, but you could be driving it with your kid.
And also your child has the opportunity to see how that money grows.
Yes.
Great information. Where can we learn more about you?
Absolutely. So Eric Hamilton, you can find me on social media at Eric Hamilton Sales Blueprint, as well as my website, thesalesblueprintforsuccess.com.
Great topic and a wonderful topic of discussion this summer. We appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
You. As Father's Day approaches, it's important to remember the countless kids that lack a male role model in their lives. And today, we introduce you to an organization that stands in the gap for these kids, offering them support and mentorship during a critical time of their lives. Yes, Noah McGuffey is the spokesperson for Forerunner Mentoring. He is joined by volunteer Wade Catrola and mentee Mason Green Jr. Welcome, gentlemen. I'm glad to have you here.
Thanks for having us.
All right, well, let's get right to it. I want to talk to you, Noah. What is Forerunner Mentoring? What's it all about?
Yeah, thanks. And thanks for having us here, by the way. This has been really fun for us. Forerunner Mentoring, we are in Lake Highlands. area, so all the schools that feed into Lake Highlands High School. We are a 501c3 faith-based nonprofit, and we exist to fulfill the potential of boys growing up without a father at home in that area. And so we do that by providing an after-school program, family support for single moms, and one-to-one mentoring, and we do it in the name of Jesus.
What were the needs that you saw that inspired you to create the Forerunner mentoring?
Absolutely. I mean, it started in 2011. We had our founder was a football coach at Lake Highlands Middle School. And one day he just asked his team, hey, raise your hand if you're growing up without a father figure at home. And that was his story as well. And so when he saw those hands go up, he immediately related to them. And he just knew there was a need for that. He starts pulling in his friends to mentor boys on the football team. And now, we've grown and here we are today.
That is really exciting.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate those that see a need and not just think about it, but actually take action and do something about it. That's how change is made in the world.
Yeah.
So that's an impressive backstory. So let me talk to you, Wade. What compelled you to get involved? You are one of the mentors for Forerunner mentoring.
Yeah.
Tell me what inspired you to get involved.
Yeah, so my wife and I had trouble having kids. So we went through several miscarriages and then went through 3 rounds of IVF to be able to try to have a baby. And we finally got that little girl. We got our little miracle child, but we were lacking a boy. And I always wanted a boy growing up. I just wanted to have that, relationship that I had with my father, but just couldn't have it. So I was looking at different ways that I could go out there and serve, and I can be a part of this organization. I found Forerunner Mentoring. I found it's a great way, and I started volunteering with them with their high school boys, because we volunteer all the way from elementary school all the way through high school. And so you're a one-on-one peer mentor from the minute they're in elementary, and then you're going to ride with them all the way throughout high school. So I started joining about 2 years ago. And then just last year, I got paired up with my boy Mason. And Mason and I have been mentors, mentees for about a year now.
All right, so Mason, you are a mentee, as we just heard. What has that experience been like for you, getting to know this guy right here?
It's been great to know Mr. Wade. He's a great guy. He takes me places, and it's really fun.
Let's talk a little bit about the different places. Noah, tell me about the different types of activities that you do in this particular program.
Yeah, absolutely. So, there's a wide range of things that we do. The main thing is the after-school club, and they meet multiple times a week where they get to be on campus at school, or we take them to another location, and they get to have peer friendships. They're mentored by coaches who run the club. But we also get to do fun stuff like field trips and camping trips. And so that's actually one of the things that Wade did with Mason, where they got to first meet, is we went on a camping trip. We take a bunch of middle school boys out to Arkansas about 2 times a year. We take high schoolers out to Colorado and just provide a lot of experiences where these boys get to be around men who get to pour into them.
All
and
right,
stuff
so
like
Wade,
that.
I want to ask you, as a mentor, we definitely understand the benefits that the mentees receive from this experience, but how has this experience benefited you?
Oh, this experience, it's changed me so much. Just knowing the part that I can give back, knowing just that there's a need out there. And so that's the kind of reason we're up here right now, is we still have so many boys out there that are looking for a mentor. So the resources that you could use is donation, because they eat a lot of snacks, especially for these after school care that we have. But then also looking for men of God that are looking to become a mentor and want to become a mentor for these mentees. There's still about 55 kids out there that don't have a mentor. And we're always growing, and so we're always looking for a need to have more mentors. But it's been such just seeing what, and we still have a whole relationship. We still have years and years and years to grow and develop and see how our relationship changes. But we got all the way, through high school that we can go through. But it's just been a huge impact.
What does Wade mean to you, Mason?
He's a great guy.
You can leave it at that. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
That works.
Yeah, I think that it's great that you have an opportunity to get to know each other and to have this relationship. I bet it's mutually beneficial and a mutual blessing that you're experiencing and sharing together. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, so what do you want to do when you grow up? Do you know, Mason?
Yeah, I want to be a football player. I want to create my own business, but I don't know what my business is going to be. But, yeah, that's what I want to do when I grow up.
Do you want to be a mentor someday?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I bet you will. Guys, this is great. Thank
Yeah,
you so much
it's
for
been
sharing.
awesome.
The need still is there. Thank you so much, and I want you to have an opportunity to come and participate so that you can experience the joys of being a mentor. I appreciate it very much.
Thanks for having
You
us.
can also go to forerunnermentoring.com. Coming up, a taste of Yellowstone in our own backyard. A little later, find out where you can go for a delicious Dutton Ranch-inspired meal. And Father's Day is coming up really quickly, and we're going to be talking about that, as well as we'll be talking about daddy issues, what that really means, and how to heal and move forward. GMT is back in 2 minutes. Father's Day is fast approaching, and while a father's love can help shape confidence and emotional security for some, the day can bring up some complicated feelings. Life and relationship coach Dr. Sharon Patterson is here to talk about daddy girl issues and how healing is possible at any age. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning.
You look stunning, by the way.
Thank you. It's an exciting
and
day.
happy anniversary
Thank
to
you. 42 years.
42 years. All right, so let's talk about the phrase daddy issues. We hear that a lot, but it's often used kind of negatively, of course, but how would you define it?
I would define daddy-daughter issues simply as trauma from unmet needs of love, support, and encouragement. Things that didn't happen during childhood. They have lasting effects. And now many grown women are dealing with the effects of things that did or did not happen with their father.
All right, and something that you say that I think is important, this is not about blaming.
No.
You avoid that word. It's
Yes.
about kind of understanding the issues, and there's a distinction between blaming and processing.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Because, Paige, the truth is, some fathers did the best they could. They did the best they knew, but the daughters still have the trauma, the unmet needs. So it's a matter of learning. It's about compassion, and ultimately, to have a good Father's Day, forgiveness.
I think that's a really good point. It is about the forgiveness
Yes.
because some of us may feel like we've lacked affirmations from our fathers. Tell me about the importance of these kinds of affirmations for dads that are out there watching right now.
This is the most important thing I'm going to say all morning, Paige. The fathers must realize how important they are in our lives.
Right.
Their voice is our inner voice. So when we hear them say, you're special, you're enough, I love you, that lets us know we are special. We can make it just because Daddy said so. So to all the men listening, your voice means everything, and never forget that.
Well, before the commercial break, we had a segment on about forerunner mentoring, where they
Yes.
pair mentors with boys without fathers.
Yes.
Because of how important that male role model is. And even if you're not a dad, you can still make a difference in the lives of a child. So let's also talk about the idea of perfection, that many of us feel like we have to be the perfect parent. And for men in particular, that stress that they put on themselves can be overwhelming. But you say that what matters most is presence over perfection.
Yes. First of all, no one's perfect. There is no perfect father. But some dads do get hung up on themselves and worry. Listen, what daughters want is someone who's present, who is consistent, who is engaged, who talks to them, who listens to them, who laughs with them on a consistent basis.
Well, there are some women out there that may be struggling and not necessarily know why. What are some signs related to unresolved father wounds that may be kind of popping up in our relationship?
They do pop up. They do pop up. Number one, you can't trust anybody. Number two, constantly need reassurance. Number three, looking for affirmation in the wrong places.
Also kind of looking for a significant other by looking for a replacement father.
Yes.
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 And that can be very disastrous. That can have disastrous consequences. So if you are self-aware and you recognize that you might be struggling with some of these kind of daddy issues as we're talking about, what are some of the first steps that you suggest towards healing?
The first step has to be therapy. This is a deep emotional wound from childhood. It's not just going to go away on its own. You need to sit down with a trained therapist and process and work through it and come out on the other side whole, loving yourself, telling yourself you are enough, and not needing to get it from somebody else.
You also say that sometimes these wounds are actually grief.
Yes, yes.
Tell me more about that.
Yes, sometimes when fathers are not present or when they aren't involved in their daughters' lives, the daughters grieve that their whole lives. They feel they've missed out. They wonder the what if, was I not good enough? So they carry that around on the inside. That's why that therapy is so necessary.
I think the key thing is to make sure that you are taking the time for self-care and allowing yourself to be in front of a professional that can help you recognize some of these signs that you may not be aware of. You may not know why you're struggling.
You use the term self-aware. That's the key right now. People who are listening, if they've heard something we said that goes ding, 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 that's me, then you've got one of these emotional wounds that needs to be addressed.
Every time you're here, I have a ding, 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 something related to that, you know. So this is such a helpful topic, especially when it comes to us approaching Father's Day.
Yes.
It has different meanings for different people, and it's important that we address those successfully so that we can live a full life.
Exactly.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for
Where
having
can we
me.
find out more information from you?
Visit me on all my social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Sharon Patterson.
All right. Big anniversary plans, I know. Have fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Greg, what kinds of issues may we be dealing with regards to the weather today?
Yeah, that heat and humidity, that's going to be the big issue over the next few days. We also have some rain chances that we're going to talk about here as we head toward the end of the week. So we'll have one more look at your forecast when GMT continues after this.
Live, this is Good Morning Texas.
Welcome back to Good Morning Texas. Okay, Greg, we're kind of matchy-matchy today.
We are kind of coordinated.
I like it, my friend. All right, well, are we looking at some blue skies out there?
Mixed in with some cloud cover out there for it today. Plenty of heat and humidity we're going to have over the next few days. Shouldn't have any travel issues, though, out at the airports impacted there from any rain or thunderstorms. That's behind us, at least for a couple of days anyway. Taking you out to DFW right now, 78 degrees. Winds are going to stay very light, so not much in the way of wind stirring things around at all today either. 77 taking you out to Love Field with those northeast winds at 6 miles per hour there. So here's the outdoor planner for today. It's going to be warming up a little bit. Humidity not as bad as it's going to be. It's going to feel like it's about around 95 or so as we warm up to around 90 as we head late into the afternoon. We'll have some partly to maybe mostly sunny skies and those winds stay light. Out of the southeast a little bit later today at around 5, maybe 10 miles per hour. Now I mentioned some rain chances down the road as we head toward the World Cup. Not going to have to worry about that for the next match out at Dallas Stadium tomorrow afternoon. We're looking at kickoff at 3 p.m. Going to have those temperatures in the lower 90s, but that heat index, it's going to be up over 100 for us as we get into tomorrow afternoon. So if you're heading out in that area, maybe some of the watch parties around the Metroplex, just keep that in mind. It is going to be hot. It is going to be more humid. Now, a little bit later in the week, we will have at least a chance for some showers and thunderstorms, perhaps late in the day as we head into Thursday. A few showers and storms along with a cold front moving out of Oklahoma. So the timing, the intensity, something we'll be getting the details on as we better details as we head toward the latter half of the week over the next couple of days. So just kind of keep that in mind. And as we head toward Thursday evening, maybe a few showers and storms, and some of those may linger into the first part of Friday as we head toward Juneteenth. So nothing real widespread at this point, but yes, there will be a chance for at least for some showers and thunderstorms wrapping up the week. Going to put that coverage at about 20% late in the day Thursday, 30% early Friday, and then we'll carry some at least low-end rain chances into the upcoming weekend on Saturday as well. Father's Day, it's going to be pretty steamy out there for us. As we look at that 14-day forecast, we'll see those temperatures warming back up to around 96 on Father's Day. So make sure Dad doesn't lose his cool there on Sunday. And then we're going to heat up a little bit more early next week on Monday. And then those temperatures will dip a little bit for us by the middle of next week, upper 80s, and then back into the low 90s late next week. All right, Paige, back to you.
Well, speaking of summer, summer is often seen as a time to relax and recharge, but the season can also bring stress, burnout, and unexpected challenges. So life coach Ashley Shehab is here with tips to help protect your mental health and find balance this summer. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Welcome. I'm so glad that you're here.
Thank you. Me too.
This is such an important topic because many people, we look forward to summer, the longer days. But the summertime can actually sometimes be surprisingly very challenging for our mental health. Why is that?
Honestly, being in Texas, I think that this is our version of seasonal depression.
It is because it's oppressive. The heat is
so
oppressive.
hot. And being outside in nature structure is healing, and if you can't be outside, it's not good for you.
Right. That is so true, because sometimes when we look at those temperatures and we know that for us summers are long, it can have kind of this just deflated experience to
Truly.
it. So it throws off our routines as well, because the kids are, for example, they're out of school, they're underfoot, there's vacations, we have to be more flexible with work. Why is it important, you say, to somehow in the midst of all of those transitions and changes, why is it important for us to maintain structure, and how do we even do that?
Structure really creates flow. So I understand it's summer, we all want to relax, the kids are out of school, less routine, but if you have a little bit of structure in place, that helps your day to just flow more smoothly for everybody.
Okay, so somehow find that way to maybe, for example, have consistent bedtimes, to have consistent routines in the household.
Yes.
Allow for some flux, but having
Yes.
some structure will keep everybody on track and feel a little bit more, in control and calm.
Exactly.
Okay, all right, got that. So what are some signs that we might be feeling a little overwhelmed, or that this stress may be getting to us?
I always tell people, just check in with yourself throughout the day and say, how am I feeling? How am I showing up? What energy am I bringing to any different situation? If I feel like I'm short-tempered, if I feel like I'm exhausted, these are really signs that something is off. And checking in with yourself throughout the day helps you to see, oh, wow, like this is actually stressing me out, or this is something I need to give attention to, instead of just blowing through it and just going through your routine.
So really taking a moment, stop, pause.
Exactly.
Check. Kind of like the,
how do I feel?
Stop, drop, and roll. Stop, pause, and really reflect,
Yes.
I think that that's really important. And you encourage also for people to take advantage of the summer to maybe set some short-term goals.
Yes.
What are some examples of those types of goals that we can set and achieve over the summer?
So living with intention, I feel like, is so important. If you're not being intentional about your day today, your mental health is naturally going to suffer. So when you look at summer, you're like, okay, I've got this finite window of time. Let me check in with myself and say, what are my values? What are my priorities? And what do I want to be focusing on? So your goals are really customized to whatever is important to you at that time. So I know for me right now, I have a goal to post on my Instagram every single day because it's important to me to be seen in my business.
So to have goals like that, specific and achievable goals,
Yes.
really can kind of help. a
Achievable
lot.
is very important. Like, be honest with yourself about what time limitations you have, what energy limitations you have. Set yourself up for success.
Okay, you also have this analogy about using structure as bumpers
Yes.
rather than kind of strict rules.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
So I look at structure like when you take a kid bowling and they put the bumpers.
Oh, yeah.
And then it keeps the ball in your lane.
Look at you. Look what you did there.
I love a metaphor.
I love the metaphor.
I use structure as bumpers, like what can help you stay in your lane and stay on track? And that way you can bounce off the bumpers and kind of go
Without
back
going
and forth.
into the gutter.
Without going into the gutter, without
what I
going
did
into
there?
somebody else's lane.
Yeah.
It helps you stay focused on what really matters to you, but it's not super rigid.
We could go on and on with that metaphor.
Thank you.
I love the idea of staying in your lane. Yeah,
right.
I got that as well. But that's really important because the ball can continue to keep going.
Yeah.
Going, can keep going towards a goal, but you have some structures in place to make sure
Exactly.
that you're not derailed in the process. Okay, so a lot of people use downtime to binge TV or do all of that kind of scrolling. But sometimes you say that may not be very healthy for our mental health.
It's really not. This is so big. I have so many clients tell me, oh, I was so tired, so I just spent the night binge watching TV and now I feel even worse. It's like, yes, because does this actually nurture you? Does this actually give you the result you want, which is more energy, more relaxation? Sometimes being intentional about watching a movie feels great. Other times, if you're checking out, you're scrolling your phone, it actually makes you feel worse. It makes you more tired.
It makes you feel more lethargic.
It does.
Yes.
So I say check in with yourself and say, well, what is actually going to make me feel refreshed? What is
Right.
actually going to make me feel energized? And to me, just getting outside, reading, or
Being intentional is the
being
key
intentional.
thing. Where can
Like
people find out more information about you?
Ashley, the Life Coach on Instagram, and my website is ashleylifecoach.com.
All right, this is great information. We appreciate it. Happy summer to you. And guess what? GMT, we've got more to come. We'll be right back. Dutton Ranch is the sequel to Yellowstone. It premiered last month, and as fans watched the new series, many were happy to find a few Dallas locations on the screen. So, Stillwell's at Swexon was one of them, and today Chef Kirkland Burns is here to reveal what's on their Dining Like the Duttons menu. Hi, Chef.
Hi, how are you?
This is so exciting. Congratulations for being spotlit on this series. That's got to be a real feather in your cap.
Yeah, it has been fun. We have had a lot of people come in, so.
Oh, that's exciting. All right, so, you know, these Yellowstone fans, they are fanatic, and they have been buzzing about Dutton Ranch. Tell us about this kind of special experience. What is it like if you stop by?
So we've curated a special, multi-course menu for everybody to enjoy. Kind of emphasis on the ranching and the Dutton series itself.
That's awesome that you're able to kind of bring that to life for people. And you say that there's an even deeper connection here because filming actually took place at Hotel Swexon and at Stillwell's. Is that correct?
Yes, it did.
Did you see any of it?
I did not get to see any. I was off that day.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, it was a bummer. But a lot of my cooks and the sous chefs.
Did they have any star sightings by any chance?
Yeah, I believe there's a few, yeah.
Okay, well, that is awesome. Okay, so you have some samples of some food that you've brought here for me to enjoy and taste as well. Tell me what you got going on.
So, first course is the deviled eggs. This is house deviled egg mix with smoked trout roe and dill. Very, very good. It's one of my favorites. One of my go-to snacks when I'm at work.
I love a good deviled egg. This has such a smoky flavor to it. It is delicious. You nailed this.
Thank you.
Okay, good job. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. Next, we have a cheddar cheese and paprika cornbread with honey butter, and finished with a little bit of chives.
All right,
it's another one of my favorites.
All right,
as well.
so you got some cheddar cheese in this bad boy, right?
Yes.
You know, just sometimes cornbread, I find it a little dry. I could use a little spicing up and with some cheese. Let's see. Oh, that's a yes. That's a yes, please. That is good. Yum. All right, what else have you got going on?
All right, so next is our Dutton Ranch chili.
All right, what makes that special?
So we use hardwood beef for the chili, beef tips, and we do a special chili mix. Finish it with Mornay, which is a cheese sauce, chive oil, chives, and some Inca nuts.
Inca nuts?
Yeah, they're like big corn nuts.
Are they like a real nut? They're not like a...
No, they're corn. It's corn.
It is? Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
That looks delicious. Okay, and then what about this?
So this is our chicken dish. This has got a corn puree, Anaheim chilies, spring onion, finished with more Inca nuts and cilantro oil.
Boy, that looks delicious. Okay, and then you've got this. Now, we're in Texas after all. We need a little steak
Need a
coming
little
on.
beef, right? So we got some crispy new potatoes, some spring onions, and then our signature hardwood beef.
Well, you don't necessarily have to be fans of the show to really enjoy this. I mean, this is something that everybody loves, right?
Oh, definitely.
All right.
Everybody, yeah.
And then you can take a deep dive into some chocolate too, right?
Texas chocolate sheet cake, yep.
Oh, that sounds so good. Let
With
me have a
candied
bite
pecans.
of that. That is a lock on that. That is so good.
Our pastry chef
How do
did
you
a
come
really
up
good
with your
job.
different recipes?
It's a lot of trial and error. That's a lot of it. A lot of going back to the drawing board and making sure everything tastes as good as it possibly can. So.
Well, I want to dive back into everything, including this cornbread, but if I do, I'll get yelled at for double dipping. So I will refrain so some of my other friends can sample it. This is great stuff. Where can people find you?
At Stillwell's at the Hotel Swexon, stillwellsdallas.com.
All right. Yum. Yes. A+. All right, we got more GMT on the way. Stay tuned. We're going to be right back. All right, it's time for Overcoming Hurdles. Gaslighting gets thrown around a lot these days, that term, and many people spend time wondering if it's happening to them. But our next guest uses her platform to break it all down. Meet Sarah Morales. She is the podcaster behind Deconstructing Gaslighting and joins me to share how she overcame it herself. Hi, Sarah. Sarah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you not hear me?
Okay, yes, I can. Good to see you.
Okay,
So
great.
gaslighting, it is so common, I'm sad to say. And I think sometimes people use it and don't really use that term, I should say, but they don't really know what that term means. What exactly is gaslighting?
That's such a great question. I spent years trying to come up with a definition that was easier to understand than a lot of what we find out there. So, how I define gaslighting is when one person or group of people convinces another person that what they think, feel, believe, or perceive is inaccurate or invalid, and that they do it through covert behaviors or hidden behaviors. So, like lying, manipulation, coercion, behaviors that are hidden.
The term itself came from an old movie, and it involved, an actress who felt like she was going crazy because of actions that her husband would take that involved light. So that term has now really kind of taken hold. What are some signs we can look for to really know whether this is happening to us?
Yeah, so I think there are two ways you want to look for a sign. So, first of all, what you're looking for in the covert behaviors from the other person. And the biggest way that I think that gaslighting is experienced is this thing that we call DARVO. Now, a lot of people have heard of it. Back in the day when I first started working with gaslighting, people didn't know what it was. But what it stands for is defend or deny, attack, reverse, victim, offender. So if you're hearing the other person say things a lot like, I didn't do that, you're making things up, this is about your insecurities, I never said that, and then they're denying what they have done, and then they're turning it around and somehow using what you just said against you. And then what they do by doing that is reverse who is the victim and who is the offender, if you will, in that role. So
That
that's
was really
what you're looking
helpful.
for.
Yeah, that was really helpful that you broke it down that way, because I think it can be kind of confusing, because the reality is sometimes we think that we're the crazy ones when we have suspicions or we see behavior that we don't think is healthy. When you're having to interact with somebody that can twist that around and reverse that and deflect it off of you, no progress is being made. And for you, this is really personal. You had an experience like this. Can you tell me about your experience, and when did you finally realize that it was happening to you?
Yeah. So, well, I first realized when it was happening to me when my boss, a therapist in the Austin area, gave me, back up, and he asked me to help him do like a workshop on gaslighting. This is back in 2013, before it was a buzzword. And I was like, gaslighting, what's that? Because it wasn't a buzzword then. And so he handed me Dr. Robin Stern's book and said, go read this book. And as I started to read it, I had an awakening. I was like, oh my goodness, this is what had happened to me in my marriage. And there was a word to describe it. And so I knew in that moment it was super important. I knew that a lot of other people were experiencing it too. And so that for me was kind of like my jump off, my catalyst of this is what I want to dedicate my life to understanding.
Gaslighting can also bring up some emotions such as shame, embarrassment. We sometimes feel like when we finally realize that something's happening, we sometimes think like, how did I let this happen to me? I should have seen this coming. We kind of really do some self-abuse when it comes to going through that realization process. How did you overcome these types of negative thoughts?
Yeah, I think for me, Paige, what it was when I really started to break down gaslighting and I understood why it works in the first place. Gaslighting only works when the person that's doing the gaslighting is someone who is either in a place of authority or is a person that we love and trust, someone who is supposed to have our best interest in mind, someone who's supposed to be looking out for us. So there's an inference of trust there. We're supposed to be able to trust that person. So when they say things that confuse us or cause us to doubt ourselves, whether our feelings are valid or what we're seeing is valid or our gut is valid, of course we doubt ourselves because that person is supposed to be looking out for us. So when I started to realize that, I was like, it's not about me. It's not about my intelligence. It's about the fact that this person took advantage of the trust that I have in this relationship.
Your story is very profound. It involved FBI showing up on your doorstep and revealing some very disturbing information about your husband. I'm curious, as you were kind of met with this reality truly pounding at your door, how did you build yourself up in the aftermath and have the belief that better days would someday come?
Yeah, for me, Paige, this is where I'll get on my little soapbox and I'll say groups. Get into, if this is you, find a safe group, because having other voices that are affirming you and telling you you're not crazy, that wasn't kind, that, you know, that was the way that they affirm the truth that you have lost connection to. That to me is the thing that I have seen, those that overcome it the best, and including myself, were those that had a really good support system, and including a support group.
Well, congratulations on your success, and thank you for sharing your story. It is really appreciated. We've got more GMT on the way, so stay tuned. We're going to be right back. Well, the summer is heating up, but Fritz's Adventure has something cool for the entire family. Scan that QR code on your screen and use the coupon code WFAA8 to get $8 off admission to the Adventure Park at Grandscape in the Colony. There are ropes courses, climbing walls, and more for all ages. A great discount you don't want to miss. Again, the coupon code is WFAA8. If you missed anything from today's show, remember you can always rewatch GMT on your own time on the free-to-download WFAA Plus streaming app for your TV, where you can catch entire shows you may have missed under the News tab. You can also select just the segments from our show to watch on the Under Demand under the Shows tab. It replays on WFAA Plus and on our sister station KFAA Channel 29 at 1 o'clock today.